Hello, it's Jamie Allen Bishop with Soul Heart Entertainment here. I'm on with you live from Memphis, Tennessee in the Graceland guest house. Super exciting. We're staying here on our road trip across the country. So cool. So naturally, Elvis is everywhere. Let's get started. Let's get started right away. Okay, so we are in the month of July. Our karmic Mom, here, excuse me, let me turn this TV off. We have some fabulous Elvis music playing in the background. Not exactly tarot reading material. So we'll do this. Okay, so in the Karmic Soul Reset program this month, we are focused on faith and trust, which shows up on the left foot on the baby toe. So let's talk about what that looks like. So on this photograph, you can see that this is the left foot. This is the baby toe for the left foot for this individual. And you can see how the toenail points to the future side of the way that this person is thinking about faith and trust. And so it would be my imagination that some of the struggles that they come across might look like they feel like they give more than they receive. They feel like they, might have some feelings of not good enough, some feelings of not safe in this world. Perhaps there is, with faith and trust, you're dealing a lot with where it looks on the scale for somebody who might feel like they're kind of, they say yes too much, essentially is what it comes down to, is that there needs to be some clearer boundaries maybe, and how that can affect somebody's prosperity and abundance is through giving more than they're willing to receive. So the exercise then becomes, where are they able to receive more in their life, or really recognize that ability to receive and recognize when they do receive. So that's kind of what the faith and trust toe is all about, is the giving and receiving of prosperity and abundance, and or faith and trust. And of course, faith and trust is directly linked to prosperity and abundance. So that's the beginning of that. So, one of the things that I think I've pointed out before, but it's been a while. It's been a while since I pointed this out. So I came across this picture and I just wanted to show you guys really quick. See these little, they're what we call in the metaphysical world angel kisses, okay? They show up as little freckles, or if you will, kind of marks of significance, okay? So in marks of significance, these little angel kisses, these toes, they happen to be on the action toe. So this person is going to be especially gifted at taking action. Now, what that requires of them is it requires them to be in a space of good communication and an abundance of faith and trust, right? So they have to be in that space of really, hi honey, thanks for joining. They have to be in that space of being willing to take action, and in order to take action, they have to have that faith and trust, both in themselves and or in other people, in order to be able to stand firm or stand in a space of comfort over allowing others. Maybe it may be delegation, like delegation might be a really, really important thing that they're here to learn. Angel kisses are just kind of one of those things that just, it's an enhancement, if you will, of that particular gift that they have in life. And so let's talk about that gift in this person's experience. So when I'm looking at this middle toe, I see that it's kind of taking a dive toward the earth, and it's also bent out toward the future, right? So what that looks like to me is that in the action of life, what they're, they don't have a lot of trust in themselves, or they're a little bit afraid to do that, a little bit afraid to take action in their lives. So what that means is they have to really learn, and because it's on the left foot, it's their internal self, right? That internal action and that internal faith and trust in themselves, that you can see their baby toe kind of does the same thing, and their relationship toe also does the same thing. It kind of takes that, all the other toes, come straight out. Hey, Susie, and thanks for joining. So glad you're here. If you have any questions, let me know. In the meantime, we're going to keep talking about these middle toes. So the little angel kiss mark is a mark of the enhancement, if you will, of this particular thing. And I'm repeating myself because you just joined me, Susie. So this toe happens to be the action toe. Okay. On the left side, the internal self side, this action toe is taking a dive toward the earth. It's kind of, it's coming straight forward, and then it kind of does that little, curve down to the earth, right? And so what that looks like, what that shows up in our experience is when it feels like we're making so much progress, and then all of a sudden that progress completely stops, and we don't really quite understand why that progress is stopping. And so when you're trying to overcome those kind of challenges, when you're trying to overcome where the stops are happening in your life and why they keep happening, or why things aren't really showing up the way that you expect them to show up as far as action that you take in your life, if your toe looks similar to this, where it takes that dive toward the earth, there's a couple of things to ask yourself. One is, where in the last, it's probably the last eighth of your lifetime, because if this is where your birth is, and this is where you are right here, right now, then it's just recently happened that action in your life has been kind of rocked. The foundation of where you trust that action will occur, it's been rocked to the core. So it's almost time to restart and rethink how the foundation of your belief in your ability to take action, and specifically inspired action, action that happens around your intuition and what your intuition is telling you to do versus what your logical mind is telling you to do. For obvious reasons, the intuitive brain wants you to do something that's going to serve your highest purpose path, but it doesn't always make sense. It sometimes shows up as completely irrational, completely illogical, and yet it ends up being something that's a fantastically wonderful experience to look back on, when if you can think back to a time in your life when you took inspired action and it didn't make any sense at all to you at the time that you took it, and now you're looking back on the exciting events that occurred after the fact. It's pretty darn amazing. Hey Tyler, thanks for joining. So glad you're here. If you have any questions, type them in the comments and I can address them. So what we're supposed to be talking about is what we're dealing with in our Karmic Soul Reset program this month, which is the faith and trust toe. So the faith and trust toe shows up on our left foot, and it shows up on our baby toe. So when I'm looking at this baby toe, it's kind of folded over to the side where the toenail is pointed toward what would be the future thoughts. So when this person sat with me, I suspect, now when somebody sits with me, it's really interesting because I don't ever remember what I tell them. But hopefully they do, because it's kind of that inspired point of time where I'm just being the conduit of whatever questions or information they need to receive. So this toe points out to the future. So where in their life are they putting their faith and trust out into the future instead of allowing it to occur right here, right now? Where is that stopping? Because faith and trust has everything to do with prosperity and abundance. So if they're putting that faith and trust into the future, and the languaging around that is very future oriented, then you can't bring, or you can't manifest prosperity and abundance right here, right now. So where are they communicating with future speak that stops them from being able to receive their prosperity and abundance right here, right now? So that's what I would say to this person is be really, really conscious of where you're putting that languaging out into the future, and turn it around and say, and look at it in that present tense, in that present moment. So for example, I know I have the car I want, right? Something along those lines. So what does it say? It says those labels are correct because Facebook videos are mirrored images. Jamie is not crazy. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's the labels are correct. But it is a mirrored image. So it is a left foot, even though it probably looks like a right foot to you guys. But anyway, this is the left foot, and this is where it shows up. So when you're thinking of faith and trust in your life and what that looks like in what you're trying to manifest or the goals that you have, one of the biggest challenges is to put that out in the future. And so I always imagine it this way. In the old days, when you had a cart or a horse, carrying a cart along the path of life, right? One of the ways to motivate that horse to keep moving forward was to dangle a carrot in front of them, right? And so they'd keep trying to reach for that carrot, right? So it's kind of like that when we put our languaging into the future, like I'm going to get the car I want. That's future talk. That's putting that car just out of reach. It's putting it as that, carrot dangled in front of your cart of your goals, right? So you're reaching for it and you're striving for it, but until you start languaging that into the present tense, that carrot's always going to be just out of reach, right? So that's, hi, Natalie, yay, you're here. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so what we were talking about is the left foot and the the faith and trust toe, and what that looks like in life, and how when we have that future speak, where that toenail's leaning out toward the future, that's when we know we need to put it in present tense. When we're talking about whatever it is that we want to have faith and trust in, we want to have that faith and trust right here, right now, regardless of whether it's actually showing up in our world as a reality. Because if we don't put that languaging as present tense, it will always be future, or it will always be past. So it's kind of, where you're focused. I think of it like you got to focus on what it is that you want. And so when you're focused on what you want, that is what you get right here, right now. Okay, so what else can I talk about? Do you guys have any questions? I'm going to keep going, but feel free to type questions if you have questions. Okay, so let me show you a little bit about, so these are toes that kind of come off really, really straightforward, okay? These toes come off of the foot straightforward. She has almost no lines. It's she comes across as organized. There's just a little bit of space between each toe. She comes across straightforward, what you see is what you get. What she says is what she does. She's very good, very practical. She's reliable. She takes on a lot of responsibility though. And here's where that responsibility shows up, is that space right there, and also, you know, on the pinky side as well, which you can't see on the left foot so much as you can see it on the right foot. But so what, okay, Natalie, I just saw your comment. Mine turns in. So when you're talking about a toe that turns in toward the center of you, I think of that as when toes turn in, we're thinking past too much. So look at your languaging. Notice your languaging from now on, especially when it comes to future and or prosperity. Faith and trust, or prosperity and abundance. If your little toes turn in, you wanna bring that languaging to present tense, and perhaps you're focused a little too much on the past and what has, you know, happened in your past to create your current reality, right? So just recognize it, you know, thank your higher self for reminding you of what not to do. And now let's focus on what you actually want to do in your life, right? So let's see, Tyler says, absolutely, no problem. So glad to help. What would having your second toe turned to the right mean? Okay, so it depends, you know, the right depends on which toe it is, right? If all the other toes are straight. So I am assuming, and I could be wrong, but I'm assuming you're talking about your left toe pointed to the right, which would be the future side. So let me just review really quickly for you so that you can see the toe reading map and see if it makes sense to you. If I know I have it, it's here somewhere. If I can find it, hopefully I can find it. La, la, la. All right, I think this is it. No, that's not it. I know I brought it with me. Hold on just a moment. This is when my Elvis music would come in handy. All right, so, well, shoot, I'm not seeing it. I had it printed reverse so that the words would show up properly for you guys, but I'm not finding it. So we'll just pretend we can see these words showing up correctly. Okay, so Tyler, what I wanted to share with you was, when your toes turn in toward the center of you, your stories are focused on the past. Okay, so the languaging that you use is focused on the past. When your toes turn out toward the baby toe, no matter which side, that's when we're to future thinking. So if it's on the left toe and it's pointed to the right, that leads me to believe that you're future focused. So when you're thinking about how to communicate things in your life, especially things that are goals that are really, really important to you, goals that you have a real passion for, first of all, energetically, anything that you have a passion for is going to fire you up. It's going to get you all excited. It's going to make you have that like permanent grin on your face. It's going to be something that you can't wait to get out of bed in the morning for, right? Those things are the passionate things in our lives. So when we're striving toward a goal of something that we're really, really passionate about, if you're keeping your languaging in the future, it's going to stay in the future. You're going to constantly trying to be reaching the goal, right? And you're going to, it feels harder when we do that. If you can recognize when you're putting things into the future like that, and you can twist it and change it into a present tense, there's a magic that happens when you do that. So earlier I was using the car example. So let me think of a different example. I know you and your honey are collecting money to put a down payment on your first home, right? So if rather than think of it as you're striving to gain the money to put money down on your new house, what you want to do is, I am collecting money. I am making a down payment on my house here, and just like have these wonderful, excited thoughts about what your beautiful new house looks like. And you know, how everybody who comes into it is going to just feel the love and satisfaction that you feel as soon as you walk into this house, right? Oh, hi, Tracy. So glad you're here. Yay. So we're talking toe reading today. So yeah, so just recognize when you're putting things into the future or the past and bring it to that present tense. Not that it's negative energy, it's not, but the languaging that makes things more challenging for goals to come to us with ease and flow, it doesn't have as much power to it as when we're in that present moment and present excitement and present just feeling of, it's just that passion and that excitement. And you're like, I think of Wow Wow Whoopsie, like, yay, I'm so excited. So yeah, just notice when you're putting your languaging out into the future, because I think that you're doing that a little bit more than you want to be, where your left toe is, I know these aren't your feet, but where your left toe is turning out toward the right? All right, cool. I love questions. It makes it so much more fun for me. Okay, so one of the things that I love talking about when it comes to toe reading is this. Whoops, it's upside down. It's the hologram of the body in relation to your feet. So if you have, now this has more to do with reflexology than it does with toe reading, but as you can see, all of the toes show up from the neck up, right? So all of your toes have to do with your sinuses and your thyroid and your thoughts and your feelings and emotions. But when it comes to things like back pain or shoulder pain, or let's say you're having liver or kidney challenges, all of that actually can be accessed through the feet. It's amazing how powerful it is to touch a point on your foot and how it completely change the way that your body feels. So, right now I'm dealing with some neck pain. We're traveling across the country. We're in the car for many, many hours a day. I'm not sleeping in my normal bed. I'm not sleeping with my normal pillows, right? So right now my neck is super, super stiff. So one of the ways that I can fix that in myself is by working on the second and third carpal or metacarpals and whatever the third one is, I can't remember. But by working on my toes and just kind of wiggling them around and making sure that they're staying flexible, because I'm feeling really stiff. So my toes are probably, cramping up and probably becoming a little bit more stiff than they normally are. Anyway, so that's food for thought, is when you're having challenges, like when if I have back challenges, if I have lower back challenges, it's somewhere right in the middle on either side of my feet. So I, will rub my feet right along that line. And it's funny because when I work reflexology on somebody, one of the bones in the feet, I'll barely even be touching it, and one of the bones in the feet will shift just enough that it's almost like they received a chiropractic treatment. So it's really, really cool the way that it all works. But I think that's, believe it or not, that's already time up for us. So if there's not any more questions, I'm gonna get back to the Graceland, the guest house at Graceland. We're up here in Memphis, Tennessee, staying at Elvis's house, basically. So super cool. So we're gonna go enjoy it. If you guys don't have any more questions, I'll see you next Tuesday for ToesDay at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And if you have questions and aren't able to join us live, please shoot those to me in a messenger message, and I will make sure to answer them on our next live. All right, thank you so much for being with me today, and Jamie with Soul Heart Entertainment here. Talk to you next time. Bye for now.